Hello everybody and welcome back to the Blue Snot channel. Today I am back with another MLS Matchweek review, as I'll be reviewing all 9 of these games from match week number 3. Now, something interesting happened in this match week. All 9 home teams actually either won or draw in this match week. There was no road team that this week actually got all 3 points. And, you know, this just shows another evidence of why it is just so hard to win on the road, and why, whenever you're the road team, it is just a point on the road feels like 3 points every time for an MLS team, because it is just so difficult to win on the road. And I honestly don't know why MLS team that always go on the road tends to have a hard time, but it is what it is. And, you know, this week, like I said, no road team actually got a win and got all 3 points, and every home team has at least got something out of in this match week. But that obviously was almost not the case. And this game, we're going to start off with DC United and Houston, which this game ended in a 2-2 draw. This game looked like was the one that potentially was the only game where the road team actually win. Houston were up 2-0 in this game. They got a goal from Alvaro Elise and Manotas. Good to see that Elise continue his goal scoring form, and you know that hype of him from last season is just continue onto this season. And of course they went up 2-0 in literally a span of just two minutes between these goals. And then, for whatever reason, Wilmer Cabrera decided to just sit back in this game and just absorb the pressure, and I think that was a huge mistake, because as soon as Maddox scored in the 50th minute, that just completely gave DC United some confidence, and they really had a go at Houston and looked like they were going to, of course, get a draw on this, which eventually they did. They did it really late, with Acosta scoring a kind of a very scrappy goal. I mean, the ball was kind of like in the box, and it was a bit of a scramble in the box, and then Acosta was able to just slots it home. But yeah, obviously this game ended in a 2-2 draw, and that is another 2-0 lead that we have seen this season getting blown. I mean, there's been a lot of 2-0 leads that has been blown this season. There's been a lot of teams that have bought a 2-0 lead. And, you know, there's always a kind of a old cliche, or, you know, I'm not sure if this is actually a cliche or not, but whenever you go into a game and you're up 2-0, that is always the most dangerous score to be up, because, you know, if the opponent score one back, then they obviously have the momentum. They obviously have a chance to get another one back to potentially get the equalizer, and there you go. You just basically bottle a 2-0 lead, and it's just been the case this season. We have just seen it so many times, and Houston was the latest victim of blowing a 2-0 lead. But unlike last week, where Sporting KC and Columbus blowing a 2-0 lead, Houston couldn't quite get all 3 points in this game, because DC United scored in the last minute. And, you know, for Houston, you could say that in some way this is a good point for Houston, because Houston usually do not win on the road. They rarely win on the road. But at the same time, you got to think that this feels more like 2-point drop than actually just gaining a point on the road, because you had this game. You literally had this game in the first half. The second half, obviously, like I said, they sit back. I don't know why they decided to do that and absorb pressure on DC United, and you know, and it pretty much just cost them in this game. And as for DC United, obviously a good comeback win. You know, the defense is still an issue with them, but at least they know that the attack that they have is started to get into gear right now. You know, it's good that they have Darren Maddox scoring another goal. Hopefully they can get him going and potentially score some goals for them. But yeah, it's a good draw for DC United, because they look like they were gonna not get anything out of this. And also a shout out to those 5,000 fans that actually showed up in this game. This game was actually snowing too, which kind of makes this game a little bit more watchable. But 5,000 fans showed up. They didn't really left the stadium at all. It was kind of like packed, and at least DC United will be sort of also happy that they did not get the award for having the lowest attendance in MLS history, and that of course still belongs to Chivas USA a couple of years ago when they only drew like 3,000 fans at StubHub Center. But yeah, moving on, Minnesota with a 2-1 win against the Fire. Goals from Ibson, Nicholson for Minnesota. Chicago, the only goal for them is Kulia or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm just really bad at pronouncing names. But once again, how about those Loons? I mean, that is now back-to-back wins for this season, and keep in mind, they did this, they got this win without the likes of Kevin Molino, Abu Denladi, and also Sam Cronin, 3-star player that I kind of always highlight with Minnesota and how they could be a pretty big impact for them, but now all 3 of them are now lost to injury. It looked like Minnesota was going to be in some trouble, but instead in this game that was not the case, and it turns out in this game it's these 2 guys, Ibson and Nicholson, 2 guys that you probably have never heard of before, and I'm pretty sure I haven't really heard of these guys' names whenever I do these kind of match preview, because they are not kind of guys that you would think that potentially could carry this team and trying to score a goal and potentially get themselves a win. You always think it's either Christian Ramirez or Molino or Dan Lottie or Sam Cronin or maybe even Ethan Finley to try to make the contribution. Well, Ethan Finney did kind of made a contribution in this game. That second goal, I mean, what a cross that is from Ethan Finley. Just a pinpoint cross right to Sam Nicholson to score that goal. And like I said, the Loons back-to-back wins. 2 wins on the bounce for Adrian Heath team, and maybe it might not be a year where Minnesota might not finish dead last. Maybe they can actually compete in the league and actually even get into the playoffs. I mean, I don't know. It feels like it's still early in the season, and I know these 2 wins, obviously the Loons fans are probably on cloud 9 after these both wins, but it's still early in the season. And as for Chicago, obviously it is a pretty bad loss for them. I know that Chicago did not have Schweinsteiger in this game, and they also did not have Paulsner in this game, so they were missing their biggest star in the midfield and also in the defensive end, and it looked like that was pretty much in full force in the fact that they missed those guys. And like I said, Chicago, it's a frustrating loss. Now they have dropped their first 2 games. I'm still not going to say the fact that Chicago should be really kind of like just panic right now after these first 2 losses. I still think that them losing a calm to the offseason still kind of doesn't really affect them at all, because I think Akom's replacement, Katai, has actually looked pretty decently in the start of the season. So, I just think that for this first 2 games, it was a combination of them playing a very good team and also the fact that they lost their biggest star in this game against Minnesota, and it's also a road game, and also the fact that they did lose to Minnesota last season. I actually cannot believe that I didn't mention that Chicago actually lost to Minnesota. Minnesota actually got a win on the road against Chicago last season. So, yeah, it's a frustrating loss, but, hopefully they can bounce back. Hopefully they can get Schweinsteiger and Paulsner back in there, and, yeah, we're going to see how it goes. Either way, moving on to the next game. I didn't put anything into this game because, 1, I didn't watch this game because for some reason the MLS Live app did not actually show this game. It was just keep getting stuck at this game will start soon. Please be patient. And this game was just like it was stuck at that point where I thought like why can I not watch this game? The game clearly has started, so why can I not watch this game, and why am I stuck in this window? But eventually the game that I didn't watch, it finished in a 0-0 draw. Both teams look really sloppy in this game, both in the attacking and also in the defensive end. And it looked like both teams was just about to give each other 3 points in this game. I mean, it was just a sloppy game, okay? And it was rightfully so to end it 0-0. And I will also say that Jerzy Zardes in this game, and I know I usually don't pick out one player as a guy to kind of get embarrassed, but he missed 2 really good opportunities in this game for Columbus. One, I think he missed it from an open area. I forgot what happened with the second one, but he missed 2 really good opportunities in this game. And Philly also missed a couple of good opportunities of their own. But overall, it was sort of a 0-0 draw. It was a very sloppy kind of 0-0 draw, and there was also not a lot of fans that attended this game. And I think the reason why they didn't really attend it is because I heard it was very cold in Philly, and it also kind of snowed on that day. And in some way I can't really blame for the fans to not show up, because the Union is just, they're not going to have a good season this year. This season is going to be just a year for them to, I guess, trying to figure out personality and try to maybe build on the future. I mean, this is where it just gets really strange with Philly. Like, they are not, I'm not sure if they're really like tanking this year or really just losing on purpose. And I just don't see what their future is going to be. Like, they haven't really they of course signed a calm during this offseason, but that's about it. They haven't really got any future star or any young guys on their team that kind of dazzle you and say that they could potentially be very decent in the future. And the owner also, not the owner, but the front office of Philly also have been kind of not really active in the transfer window, kind of like what Minnesota is. So it's a very strange situation with Philly. I don't know what's going on with this team, and it must be frustrated for a Union fan to see a team that, obviously they're going to struggle this year, but knowing that in the future they're probably going to be the same way, because they just don't have any plans. It's like they're just stuck in a limbo right now. And for Columbus, it's a bit of a frustrating draw, because this was one of those teams that they should have easily beat on the road. But I'm not going to really just say that. Columbus has been having a pretty good season so far. They already got a win away against TFC, and now, they got a draw against Philly on the road, which is a good point on the road, and they also beat Montreal at home. So, they've been having an okay season so far, and, I still think that maybe Columbus is still, I think Columbus might be right near around the outside looking into the playoffs, because, besides that Toronto win, so far they haven't looked as impressive as I've seen. I mean, some people say that they potentially could be like playoff contention, and I can't believe some people actually still are saying it so early, because I feel like besides the Toronto game, they haven't looked as good as what you would consider them to potentially make the playoffs. So, yeah, but either way, moving on to the next game, Montreal getting an impressive 1-0 win against TFC. The only goal in this game was Vargas. And for Montreal, I'll tell you what, this is a win that they really was hoping to get, and certainly a very deserved win for Montreal. And I think in this game, it was pretty clear that Remy Gard completely out-tactics Grant Vanney in this game. And although some Toronto fans is going to bring up the fact that, we had a midweek game against Tigres, and, we are kind of a little bit hungover with that historic moment where we knocked out Tigres in the quarterfinal, and the fact that we were playing on the road. But at the same time, you got to give Montreal credit with this win. I mean, and Remy Gard is not known to be a tactical kind of mastermind. I mean, just look at what he did with Aston Villa a couple of years ago and how bad it was. But he completely got the tactics right on this one. Montreal looked very threatening in this game. They definitely had a much better chance to score goals than TFC has. And like I said, it is a very impressive win for Montreal, and certainly a much needed win too, because they've been very unlucky so far this season. And as for TFC, it's obviously 2 straight losses in a row, and some people might say that there is going to be a little bit of a concern. For me, I'm not that concerned with TFC right now, mainly because, the first game when they play against Columbus, I think they're just trying to get back into that lead kind of form, and they usually, teams when they win like the MLS Cup, they kind of have a little bit of that hangover, and in this game it's the same case. They had a hangover from that CCL quarterfinal game against Tigres. And there's also like a stats that MLSsoccer.com posted that talk about how TFC has actually not won a single game after they came off of a CCL match. So yeah, that's an interesting kind of stats to see. And I hope, does that mean now whenever TFC plays a CCL match, the next MLS match will guarantee that they're not win? Because if that's the case, then that is a bit concerning for TFC. They definitely do not kind of want to get to a very kind of slow start if they go deeper into the competition. But for me, I'm not worried about TFC just yet. I think this is just them trying to focus on CCL, trying to win that trophy, trying to become the first ever MLS team to win CCL. And yeah. Meanwhile, moving on, NYCFC with a 2-0 win against Orlando City. This game, I only watched half of this game, and the first half that I watched for this game, it wasn't a very exciting game. It was sort of a little bit of a dull game. NYCFC didn't really kick into gear, but eventually they did in the second half. Goals from Tajari, if that's how you pronounce his name, and also Maxi Morales with another goal for NYCFC. There was no David Villa for NYCFC in this game, so maybe that is probably a contribution of why NYCFC looked kind of sluggish in this game. But they got the job done against Orlando City, and this team has started to kind of distance themselves away from other teams to potentially win the Eastern Conference and win the Supporters' Shield. I mean, they already have now won 3 out of 3. They already have 9 points in the league compared to 0 points that TFC had, and Atlanta, who had about 7 points. So yeah, NYCFC for Supporters' Shield is starting to grow louder and louder with this early season success. And as for Orlando City, they definitely had a couple of chances in this game, but unfortunately they just couldn't quite do anything. And I didn't think they were going to do anything in this game against NYCFC. Even without David Villa, I still didn't think that they would get anything, because Orlando City still have those injuries. And although they did have such a question back in this game, they still have a lot of injury on their team that they have to deal with. And there's already some talks that Jason Christ could potentially get sacked in the next couple of games if he doesn't win. There was actually somebody said that if Jason Christ doesn't win his next game, Orlando City is going to sack them. First of all, you gotta know that Orlando City is dealing with these kind of injuries right now, and they were playing against a NYCFC team on the road that is just, NYCFC is just completely different, on a different planet right now to some of the team right now early in the season. And I think the only time where I will say that maybe Jason Christ could be in serious trouble is that maybe in these next couple of games will we finally see them kind of like pick up some points, or when the whole squad gets back together, and if they still could not pick up result, then I would say that Christ is definitely on the hot seat and definitely is going to get sacked before even the halfway point of this season. So, yeah. But either way, next up, Atlanta winning 4-1 against Vancouver. Joseph Martinez with another hat trick. That's his fourth hat trick in 21 games, and that's crazy. 4 hat trick in 21 games. That's like 1 hat trick every 5 games that Joseph Martinez is averaging right now. Now I don't think he's probably gonna keep up this kind of pace, but it's just incredible seeing what Martinez can do to not just with this Atlanta United team, but also to what he's doing in the league. I mean, besides David Villa, I think he is probably the most deadliest striker in the league right now. The other goals for Atlanta come with an own goal from Manund, which is of course an own goal. Only goal for Vancouver is Hurtado, and they did of course had a sending off in this game, with Kendall Watson getting sent off in the 15th minute. And the reason why I put a big question mark in that sending off is literally what I'm going to be talking mostly about this game. And I hate the fact that I have to talk about this, because I talked about the situation with VAR and why it's just so controversial. And yeah, we have to talk about it again this time. And this time it's basically Kendall Watson elbowing one of the Atlanta player. And this actually happened in the 7th minute. The sending off happened in the 13th minute. So first of all, we know for a fact that there must be a long kind of delay, and there must be a long kind of VAR or kind of time where the ref had to look at it. And that was one of the things that people hate about VAR, and that is it just took way too long. And in this case, it definitely took way too long. And I actually look at the replay of that play a couple of times, and for me, there are 2 things I found that really kind of disturbed me about the call. One of the first thing, like I said, it took way too long, but since it actually took way too long, and since the referee actually go to the video assistant and look at the video and how it took like 2 or 3 minutes to do that, if a referee does take that long to look at a call, then most likely the referee will stick to his original decision. I mean, I remember when VAR was implemented, and the main guy that is in charge of VAR, Howard Webb, even said that if you going to see a ref that takes his time to look at the replay, most likely the ref is going to stick to his original decision, because there most likely is a indisputable evidence that that call has to be overturned. And for whatever reason, that's not what this ref did. He overturned the call even though it took him that long to do it, and that is something you're not supposed to do, according to Howard Webb. And the second thing that I found this disturbing is that, I think from what I saw with that, and this foul actually happened from off the balls situation, so the ball wasn't really coming toward where the foul occurred, but it looked like Watson was actually trying to go for the ball in this situation, and when he tried to go for the ball, I think he accidentally elbowed one of the Atlanta player. And this kind of also goes back to what happened in the first week of MLS when in that Orlando City versus DC United game, where PC got sent off because he elbowed one of the DC United player, but he was going up for the ball. He was jumping up on the ball and land an elbow accidentally to one one of the DC United player, and I said that was not a red card. That was never a red card, and in this case, it looked like it's very similar again, with the fact that Watson was trying to go for the ball, and he accidentally, when he's trying to go for the ball, he accidentally put his elbow and basically knocked one of the Atlanta player down. But and I think that probably shouldn't be a red card too. But either way, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this call? Because this was a big call. This was before when Atlanta scored 4 goals in this game, and really this was the deciding moment of this game, because if this sending off did not happen, then this could be maybe a complete different game. Atlanta probably maybe wouldn't score 4 goals in this game. I mean, whenever you go down to 10 men against Atlanta, it's an automatic loss, because Atlanta with that attack, it's already hard to try to contain them with 11 men, but to try to contain with 10 men, that is just absolutely suicidal. And I knew when Watson got sent off, there is just no way Vancouver was gonna win this, and I was sort of expecting Atlanta to just completely smack Vancouver, and that exactly is what they did. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the red card situation? Do you think that's a red card? Do you think that we have to do something with VAR? And also, do we have to do something with the elbowing kind of situation? Because it feels like this year the ref is taking a little bit more kind of serious in terms of elbowing, and they're kind of being a little bit trigger happy in terms of calling those plays. Some elbow kind of play didn't look very serious, and usually ref doesn't call in the past. Now they of course definitely called it. But yeah, but either way, moving on into the next game, my team, San Jose Earthquakes, lost to Sporting KC 3-2. Goals from Sanchez, Zusi, and Gutierrez. Voko and Wando with the goal. I'm not going to get too much into this game because I already did do a match review, but one thing I will say about this, and I kind of said it in the match review, is that we really need to buy some players for our defense, especially in that left back row, because it was pretty clear yesterday that Salinas just got completely burned by Gutierrez and Russo in that game. I mean, Russo and Gutierrez basically had an absolute field day with Salinas, and Salinas just didn't do anything. Like, he couldn't respond at all, and this is just a sign where maybe Salinas might not be a left back, and maybe we really need an upgrade in our left back, and maybe Joel Queberg might not be the answer, because we already heard that Queberg actually got beat by Salinas to that job in the left back row. So yeah, for me, we really need a left back. And for Sporting KC, it's another unorthodox kind of win. Them giving up multiple goals again. That's the 3rd straight games that they have giving up multiple goals. But at least they are scoring goals. They're scoring 3 goals. And once again, Gutierrez with another goal in this game. I said in the preview, he could be potentially one of those guys that maybe can potentially be a breakout kind of attacker for Sporting KC, and so far he has already showing that. And also Zusi, the goal that he scored, I mean, that probably might be the goal of the week, but at the same time you also have to kind of question the fact that there was just not enough closing down by the Quakes. But yeah, obviously I'm not happy with this result. I'm really hoping that this was just a result where we play against Sporting KC, and Sporting KC, like I said, they are a very tough team to beat at home. And yeah, hopefully we'll bounce back in these next couple of weeks. And for the Quakes, it definitely does not get easier for us. We still have to play in the next game. We got to play NYCFC, who is just red hot right now. But at least we got 2 weeks to prepare for this, and I hope we spend that time wisely, and especially in that preseason, or not preseason, but in that mid-season friendly against Club Lyon, that is a game that we got to take it very seriously. We can't just take that game as a game where, hey, it's a friendly, we can just do whatever we want. No, that is a game that will prepare us for NYCFC, and that is a game that I really want to see how the player responds after this loss, and how in the world are we going to, if that performance is going to be encouraging for me to say that maybe we'll have a chance against NYCFC. Because if we play like this against Sporting KC, there is no way we're beating NYCFC, and that is even when we are at home. But yeah, next up, RSL with a 1-0 win against the Red Bulls. The only goal came in the 5th minute, and it was a penalty by Albert Rusnak. And for RSL, this is a massive win for RSL, and certainly a massive win for Mike Pecky, beating his former employee. But in many ways, RSL in this game, they didn't really look like they were the dominant team. The Red Bulls was probably the more dominant team and the better team in this game. But the only problem for the Red Bulls in this game is that they just couldn't finish. And once again, Nick Raimondo decided to literally be an unstoppable force once again. And I'll tell you what, imagine if RSL does not have Raimondo on their team. That's now twice that I've seen this season that Raimondo probably have saved RSL a couple of points, and in this case probably saved them with getting all 3 points in this, because in many ways RSL didn't play very well in this game, but at least they got a win, and they did respond to that 5-1 demolition from last week, which is obviously a good thing for them, or not a good thing for them. I meant it's a good thing that they respond, but not a good thing when they got demolition by LAFC. I don't know why did I kind of said that, but as for the Red Bulls, I wouldn't be that concerned with this loss, mainly because, one, they were playing a second-string team, and two, they came off a CCL game against Tijuana, and they had to travel all the way across the other side of the country for only a 3-day rest. That is always going to be tough in MLS, and I don't care if you are the best team in the league or you're the worst team in the league. Having a 3-day rest and then travel all the way across the other side of the country, that's brutal. And, I'm really not going to just say that this is just a bad loss for the Red Bulls because of that. So, yeah. But anyway, now moving on to the last game of the match week. And this game actually just finished about an hour and a half ago, which is FC Dallas getting an impressive victory against Seattle. Well, I want to say it's impressive, but then the thing that kind of makes me want to say that, FC Dallas was kind of gifted with this win was mainly due to the fact that, Ladero did not start in this game. And remember how I said if Ladero did not start in this game, then I'm pretty sure that Seattle is not going to win, because he is just such a key player for them. They did have Chad Marshall and Will Bruin back in this game, but the second big blow to Seattle in this game, and pretty much after what happened in this event, there was just no doubt that Seattle was not going to win. And that, of course, is Dempsey, who decided to literally elbow one of the FC Dallas player in the balls. And this time, unlike the Kendall Watson kind of elbow, and both, of course, these call actually went to VAR, this one was more obvious. This one was pretty blatant that Dempsey just completely elbowed that FC Dallas player in the balls, and he was rightfully sent off for that. And I can't believe even some Seattle fans kind of defend Dempsey and say that that was not a good call, and the fact that it wasn't blatant at all, and we should, of course, appeal that. Just look at the replay again. I mean, it was just so clear that Dempsey, of course, make that really naughty kind of thing, and he, of course, didn't get away with that thanks to VAR. And that is the VAR that I want to see in MLS. That is the VAR I hope that will be an example to just other ref around the league, that is how to implement it, and that is how to make it work. Because you know, after what happened even when this happened, I just had a bad feeling that it was going to happen again, where the ref is going to just make the wrong call again through VAR. But they make the right call, and like I said, with Dempsey getting sent off, and really that was like the only striker that Seattle has, yeah, I mean, it was just game over. And, you know, Dallas, of course, put this game away. Credit for them to take advantage of that. Urruti with a goal, Lamar with the brace in this one, and like I said, FC Dallas, this is a really big win for them, because there's been writings on the wall that if they don't win this game, then this is a big concern for FC Dallas. And for Oscar Pereira, his job security might be in a little bit of question after if they do not get anything out of this. And as for Seattle, you know, it's a frustrating loss, but just like the Red Bulls, you know, they came off of a midweek game in Chivas, and you know, Seattle was very banged up coming into this game at first, and the fact that you know, coming into this game and that they were so banged up and having that kind of situation happen, I'm not going to really say that Seattle could be in some of a kind of deep trouble early in the season. And remember, this has been sort of the thing that Seattle has been doing for the last 3 seasons. I mean, I don't know why they always do this, but they always seems to get off to such a poor start. And usually they just turn it on in the second half of the season, which is probably the reason why they actually got into the MLS Cup final back-to-back years between 2016 and 2017, because they just turn it on late. They carry that momentum in the playoffs, and that is exactly what they do. So, you know, if I'm a Sounders fan, or if you're a Sounders fan, you shouldn't be that concerned about this yet, because you would probably hope that they will turn it on, and hopefully when you get back to healthy, this team, of course, will start winning again. And I think they will. I think they'll definitely start winning once again if they, of course, get all their starters and all their personnel back in. But yeah, that is pretty much this match week review done and dusted. Let me know in the comments below which game stands out to you, and let me know in the comments, are you happy with this week performance by your team, or are you not disappointed? I meant to say disappointed that your team, of course, lost this week, and not happy with the performance like I am. Obviously, I'm not happy with how the Quakes performed this week. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.